Yeah, I'm in town by a tree, and I'm just gonna talk about a topic that I woke up with today that popped in my head, and it's about how to speak like a roadman. Well, not specifically just a roadman. I would say how to speak like a black British, a certain ideal of a black British. And the reason I say this is because roadman is become to me in many different types of things, but I think a certain ideal of a black British is probably a better way of explaining it because it's more specific to that background or ideal or whatever. But basically, let's get to the point. When people speak in the general English way, or you could say the European English or whatever, generally in a sentence structure, both sides of the sentence structure are equal in it. So let's say they say something like, hi bro, they'll say, hi bro, it's equal, it's 50-50. But with like the quote unquote black British or the quote unquote, roadman, whatever you want to call it, it's more like the ending of it, the second one, is always quicker than the first one. So it's like, hi bro, hi bro. But obviously, with the roadman sort of way of explaining things or speaking, there's usually like a negative tone. So it's more like, hi bro, hi bro. So whenever they speak, or whenever a so-called roadman speaks, it's like this, hi bro. Or you could say, where you going? So like the normal English way would be 50-50. Where you going? So where you going? 50-50. But the roadman way would be, where you going? Where you going? But remember, it's a negative tone, so it's, where you going? Where you going? So yeah, man, a roadman might talk like this. I'm sitting here and I'm just chilling and I'm talking like this and I feel annoyed and I don't know what to say. Basically, even though that was a longer sentence, the reason it sounds distinctive, like a roadman or a specific type, you could say the black British, whatever you want to call it, because things have many different perceptions, is because when I'm saying things in that way of speaking, the second bit is always a little bit quicker than the first bit. But when I'm talking normally, it's more 50-50. I think with people from my background, because I grew up in Birmingham and I'm from the black community, it's almost like we naturally shorten the endings anyway. That's the way I see it anyway. We naturally shorten the endings just by our nature, how we've been raised. But I feel like the roadman way of talking is an extremized version of that. So the ending is even shorter. So it's like, I could say I'm standing in the park. That's roughly 50-50. But when I'm speaking like a roadman or quote unquote a black British, whatever you want to call it, it's like I'm standing in the park. And it's not about accent. You're probably thinking, oh, but you've got a Birmingham accent, you're a man. It's not about any of that. It's not about race. It's not about ethnicity. The main thing is, whenever you say anything, if you want to sound like a roadman or whatever, or black British or whatever, you have to make sure the second bit of every sentence or every word, it depends on the context. Some sentences are long, some are slow, and it's something you have to figure out as you go along. But the ending bit has to always be quicker than the first one. So like the birds are flying, so you could say the birds is the first bit and are flying is the second bit. You'd be like, the birds are flying. So it'd be like this, the birds are flying, the birds are flying. And yeah, man, it's not about accent, because there's Londoners and people in Birmingham and all kinds of places that have this same distinctive feel to how they speak. But even if they have different accents, it has that distinctive feel. But I think when you go up north, people don't really know how to do it as much, mainly because in places like Birmingham and London, they've been doing it for a lot longer. So, they've just absorbed it through the group, in it. Like when we grew up, people were talking it around us. So we just learned it just without even thinking. It was more a subconscious thing. But yeah, man, it'd be good if other people up north and around the country, Cornwall, Scotland or whatever, knew of this, because ultimately, when we see chavs and roadman, when they say chavs and roadman, the only real difference between a so-called chav and a roadman is whether they're able to speak with that distinctive cadence in their rhythm of how they're talking. And I feel almost like it's not necessarily negative to be a roadman if that's what the person desires. And I feel like the reason me explaining this is positive is because people are getting what they desire in it, and I think that's a big part of life. In life, we all want to get what we desire. So I feel almost like if that's what people desire, desire, it's best they know of this element, because this element is definitely a part of it. You know, you could dress up like a roadman, you could be a bad person or whatever, but this specific element of how to make it sound distinctive is important. And yeah, man, it's important because it completes the expression that someone's trying to portray. And I'm not promoting anything negative. I'm just saying, if people want to complete that desire, this is something that they do need to practice and add to their whole form of embodiment. So as I said, just summarizing everything, whenever you say a sentence, you have to make sure the second bit is always quicker than the first bit of every roughly sentence or word, sometimes words as well, but roughly sentences that you say. And it takes a bit of practice and experimenting, but if you realize this bit, you'll learn. So I could say, yo, I'm chilling in the park, talking like this, I'm on the phone, I'm talking to the camera, about to put this on YouTube. You know, this is how we speak, this is where I'm from, I'm speaking like a roadman. People will hear this and get a bit intimidated, people will get a bit shook at me, but there's no reason to be shook, because it's just a way of speaking, it's just a way of expressing oneself. Now, as I said, I added a bit of a negative tone, and that's important as well. And then I made sure the second bit was always quicker than the first bit. And you know what made me realize this? What made me realize there was a method to the madness? I was watching an old movie called Kes. I think it was from 1970 or 1969. And the way Kes and his people, I think they were from Barnsley, and the way they were speaking, I can't impersonate it because I don't understand it, but the way they were speaking, you could tell there was a rhythm to it, there was a cadence, and it kind of reminded me of something else. And I said, what does it remind me of? I said, oh yes, it reminds me of how we speak sometimes and what people stereotype or interpret as negative. But it's not negative, it's just, to do anything correct, you have to know the rhythm, you have to know the cadence. And I hope this helps people, man. And no matter where you're from in the country and that, you know, try it out, man, experiment and practice. Because as I said, man, you know, a lot of people want the full expression of what they're trying to portray in it. And if they've only got the hoodie on, you know, and they don't know how to speak like that, then it may not come across as authentic. And, you know, we all want that authentic element. So it is important to learn this, man. It is important if that's what you're desiring. And what you do after that is up to you. But whatever you do, man, stay on the right path and do the right things in life, innit? Be a good person. But there's nothing sweeter in life, in my opinion, than having a desire and fully completing it. So yeah, man, to anyone that wants to understand that or portray themselves along that spectrum, rewatch this video 20 times until it, you know, sticks in your head, and practice what I've said. And as I said, it's not about the accent, it's not about the person's ethnicity, it's about making sure you do the things I said in this video, practice it and figure out a way that you can make it work, because it will take a bit of practice, man. I'm trying to learn a few dance moves, and at first it's a bit iffy-washy, but after you do it for a bit again and again, you know, you'll realize what works, man. Thank you.